Welcome to a new time. Welcome to a new era. Welcome to Wrestlemania.
Where have we heard that one before? Now I know Triple H has abused that phrase where he tells us that it's the dawn of a new era. But honestly, this time, that statement might actually be true. See, WrestleMania 42 has come and gone, and one of the biggest things that I notice is that WWE seemed to have solved one of their biggest problems, and that's the lack of new stars. Now, when I say this, I'm really talking about the male side of things, because in my opinion, I believe that the WWE has done a much better job of building stars on the female side, with the likes of Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Stephanie Vaquer, Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, and even up-and-comers like Roxanne Perez. And of course, they've been doing a good job building up someone like Raquel Rodriguez. But on the male side of things, it's been a bit of a struggle. I mean, last year we did have the rise of Bron Breakker, and maybe a bit of Jacob Fatu, but I want y'all to ask yourselves, what other new stars did they actually build? Now, it seems like WrestleMania 42 has solved this issue, particularly during Night 2. So in this video, I want to talk about some of those stars that got showcased at WrestleMania 42, and I'm also going to give my predictions on what's next for all of them. But before we continue, y'all know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I really appreciate it if you help me get there. Now, without further ado, let's get back to the video. So earlier this year, Roman Reigns said that WWE can't make new stars. And at the time, it was a valid criticism. Think about it. Over the years, it's been a revolving door around the title scenes where they seem to rely on their veterans, such as Roman Reigns himself, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, etc. And don't get me wrong, we all love those guys. But it always had me thinking, what happens when those guys retire? What's WWE gonna do? If they don't build stars now, then that's gonna be a huge problem when all of these guys eventually retire, right? Well, it seems like at this year's Mania, WWE heard this criticism and decided to actually do something about it. Because scattered throughout the show, time and time again, we saw a showcase of young, fresh talent, and it's really got me excited to see where this could go. So let's start with the first and probably the biggest star that they showcased, and that's the ruler himself, Oba Femi. Now, if any of you watched NXT, you already knew Oba Femi was the total package. In-ring, mic skills, presentation, everything. But as with any NXT star, there's always that fear lingering in the back of your mind that WWE would somehow fumble the character once they get called up to the main roster. Thankfully though, this didn't happen with Oba Femi, as they booked him the exact way that he should be booked. A dominant force that's destroying anything in his path. And because of this, immediately, Oba Femi became a crowd favorite on the main roster. But we always wondered, what would be his first real feud? Well, words cannot describe the huge pop that Oba Femi got when he answered Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania challenge. But it wasn't just the fact that he accepted this challenge, it's the fact that WWE booked Oba Femi to practically destroy Brock Lesnar on multiple weeks leading up to WrestleMania, which led to yet another fear. Would WWE hesitate to pull the trigger on Oba at WrestleMania? Because you booked him as such a dominant force, you booked him to have the upper hand against Brock Lesnar all the way up until WrestleMania, so would they actually book Oba to beat Brock? Well, at WrestleMania, we got a definitive answer, as Oba Femi went out there and absolutely dominated Brock Lesnar, eating clotheslines, eating German suplexes, even eating an F5, and still getting back up to destroy Brock Lesnar in just over 4 minutes. Now, in all honesty, I was shocked, but I was also hype as hell. Now, why was I this hype? Because WWE didn't mess around. They decided, Oba is the future, and the future is right now. And then we had the shocking moment after the match, where it appeared that Brock Lesnar retired. So not only did Oba Femi dominate Brock Lesnar on the way to WrestleMania, not only did Oba Femi dominate Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but Oba Femi also retired the Beast. And then during the post-show segment, Oba then called out the new Royal Champion, Roman Reigns. Now, although Oba called his shot, I don't think that this match is happening right away at Backlash. In fact, I see that happening sometime maybe around SummerSlam. So you might be asking yourself, well, what's next for Oba right now? Well, because WWE has booked Oba Femi so strong, it really does make it hard to predict what's next for him. So I'm gonna guess maybe we get something with someone like Gunther, or maybe a returning Bronson Reed, or hell, maybe even an LA Knight. Honestly, I think that could be entertaining as well, since both of them are really good on the mic. Now, as impressive as Oba was during the build to WrestleMania and at WrestleMania itself, he's not the only star that was showcased during WrestleMania, because we gotta talk about our next superstar, and that's the man with the sauce, the man with the swag, the man with the lemon pepper steppers, the new United States champion himself, Trick Williams. So with Trick Williams, we saw him get called up and instantly became a smash hit with the crowd. And then of course we saw the backstage segments with Sami Zayn, which would then lead into their feud, as Trick Williams would continuously belittle Sami, and then during the US title match between Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams would accidentally cost Carmelo Hayes the championship, where he intended to punch Sami Zayn but missed and punched Carmelo instead. Sami would then take advantage of this and become the new US champion. This would then lead to, of course, Trick Williams facing off against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. And this was an interesting dynamic, as Trick Williams, the heel, would be getting cheered while Sami Zayn, the babyface, would be getting booed. Which, on a side note, Sami Zayn definitely needs to turn heel. Also, check out my video about that same topic. But yeah, in his Mania debut, Trick Williams, with the help of Lil Yachty, would end up defeating Sami Zayn to become the new US champion. And of course, this was the right call, as Sami Zayn was having go-away heat, and it only makes sense to put the belt on somebody as over as Trick Williams. Now, where does this go from here? Well, this could go in a multitude of different ways. For one, I could see them running it back with Sami Zayn, potentially leading to Sami's heel turn. Or maybe they do a triple threat with Sami Zayn, Carmelo Hayes, and Trick Williams. And honestly, this is a needed refresh for the US title division, as we already have a storyline here, where before WWE would really just rely on open challenges when it comes to the US title division, but now there's an actual storyline to build off of. Now, regardless of which direction WWE chooses to go with Trick Williams, the fact of the matter is this: they have a true gem in Trick, where he's charismatic as a character, he's great on the mic, he's good in the ring as far as I'm concerned, he has a catchy entrance, and he just has that connection with the crowd. And at this point, I do think that WWE should just turn Trick Williams face, but with the caveat of them not turning him into a generic babyface. I still want them to keep the things that got Trick over in the first place. Maybe you could even have him as more of a tweener. I don't want them to make the same mistake that they did with Tiffany Stratton when they turned her face, because it seemed like they stripped her of all the personality that made her beloved in the first place. Now, we've talked about Oba, we've talked about Trick, but there's one more young man that I really want to discuss, and that's the man who's practically a human highlight reel, the one that says he's bouncy, and that's Jevon Evans. Now, unlike the other two stars that I talked about, Jevon Evans was the only one that didn't win his WrestleMania match. But even in that loss, I believe he was probably the MVP of that match, as Jevon Evans, in that IC title ladder match, put on an absolute show, as he showcased his athleticism with high-flying moves, especially when he hit Rusev with that OG cutter off the ladder. That was absolutely insane. And you knew Jevon was the MVP of this match because of how much the crowd was invested in him. Every move, every highlight, even his bumps, the crowd was fully invested. And you could see it, especially when Jevon was all alone and he had the chance to go up the ladder and potentially reach for that title. The crowd was going absolutely wild. He was definitely their pick to win this match. Now, in all honesty, everybody showed out during this match, but there's just something about Jevon that really stood out. Now, the $1 million question is, can WWE continue to build him into the superstar that he's perfectly capable of becoming? Because if they do, they have an elite high-flying main eventer on their hands. In my opinion, they have somebody that could reach Jeff Hardy levels of popularity if done right. Now, the other thing with Jevon is that he has time on his side. In case you didn't know, he's only 21 years old, which means his future is extremely bright and we're only scratching the surface. Now, where do we go from here? Well, the Raw after WrestleMania showed us that they could possibly be going in the route of an Ethan Page feud, which would pick up from their previous feud when he was on NXT. And honestly, I think this is perfect, because this feud was already good in NXT, and I could definitely see them crushing it on the main roster as well. Now, outside of this feud, I also see Jevon winning an IC title in the near future, and I do see them trying to make him the youngest IC champion in WWE history. Now, I know we talked about 3 superstars who participated in actual matches on WrestleMania 42, but I also want to bring up another star that WWE is intent on building, and that's Bron Breakker. And even though he didn't have a match at WrestleMania 42, he definitely made an impact as he was able to come back from injury and spear Seth Rollins, costing him his match with Gunther. This, of course, is probably going to lead into their long-awaited feud, and I couldn't be more excited about it. So yeah, it seems like WWE has stopped playing it safe and has finally decided to showcase some of its fresh new talent. We've been waiting for a new era to dawn, such as the one that happened after WrestleMania 21, where they built up stars like Edge, Randy Orton, John Cena, and Batista. And honestly, I think we might just be there right now. With guys like Oba Femi, Trick Williams, Jevon Evans, Bron Breakker, and even guys like Jacob Fatu. This WrestleMania felt like a shift from established names to the next generation. So let me know in the comments, do you agree that this might be the dawn of an actual new era? Do you think that WWE is actually taking the time to build new stars? Also, is there another star that I didn't mention that you think WWE is actually building? And out of the ones that I mentioned, which one are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Like I mentioned, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers and I'd really appreciate it if you help me get there. Also, if you want to find out about the 5 most unhinged years of Vince McMahon, or the Sami Zayn problem that WWE has right now, go ahead and click on any of the videos on your screen. And of course, thank you for hanging with me today in the Drayfabe Corner, and I'll see y'all in the next one.